Joe.
This your boy Greg. We the co-pilots from coast to coast. We do the most. So what's your flight? Whatever it is, we got you covered.
Yeah, man, we had a little technical difficulties right now. I'm a little pissed off. I can't use everything, but you all right, Greg?
Yeah, everything good. Everything good.
That's what's up, man. I hope you out there safe on the roads, man, and everything like that, though.
Yeah, yeah. In Indiana right now. No. I'm in Illinois right now.
That's what's up, man. You look like y'all on the road doing y'all thing, man. That's what's up, man. So
Yeah.
we ain't gonna waste no time tonight. We're gonna get right into it. Just trying to get some stuff set up real quick. We're gonna start with college football tonight, man. And so we're I'm gonna put up this I can't even put it up. So that was all on my damn laptop. Let me see if I can let me put it up. It's gonna let me put it up. Okay. So putting this up here. Can you see that, Greg?
Yeah.
So we got the AP top 25 poll, man. And I want you to take a look at it, man. What's your thoughts on the new poll, man, that just came out this week? You
I
against
don't. I don't see no complaints with it, man. You get what I'm saying?
I feel you, man.
I don't see no complaints with it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, pretty much everybody in their respectable place right now. Indiana kind of surprising. And you see teams like Texas Tech. You know, the, who else, man? You got Cincinnati. They doing their thing or whatnot.
Okay,
So
that's what's
like
up.
I say, man, everybody what they, I'm pretty sure other schools may have a debate about where they should place, where they should be ranked. But I mean, for me, I'm on the outside looking in. You get what I'm saying? They done kicked us out the top 20. I know we don't deserve to be in there. How bad we've been playing. So.
Well, and that's what's up, man. On that note, man, let's start with that game, man. Florida State, um, they got beat bad at home by a Pitt team with a freshman quarterback. Uh, Out of the top 25, man. My initial thoughts on this game is Mike Norvell is on the hot seat. Like, can't lose a game like this at home. You know, you was favored by double digits. It's supposed to have been a get right game after the defeat to Miami. You go home and lay an egg. Now you're losing 3 games in a row, and it's like right now the program look like it's in disarray right now with all the hype that we came in with the Alabama victory week 1. It seemed like that was our season, man. So I'm gonna let you take off, Greg. Go ahead.
I think that's what most of the disappointment come in at with the Alabama victory. Coming in, a lot of people didn't expect us to beat Alabama. I think for most of us Florida State fans, we didn't expect us to beat Alabama. We was hoping it'd be a close game, give us something to look forward for the future in the season. But we came out, not only did we win, we dominated. So that led to us being optimistic about the season. And so going 3-0, and then from going 3-0 and then being let down in the Virginia loss, the Miami loss, that's to be expected. Then we lose to Pitt. So that's pretty much the main thing. You get what I'm saying? It's like we pretty much set ourselves up to be let down. Um, when I look at how we played against Pitt, man, even with Pitt and Virginia, you only allow one of those games a year. You get what I'm saying? You only allow one of those to allow a inferior team to upset you. But then when it happened twice, you have to look at this team as a whole. Because we know in NFL and even on the collegiate level, upsets happen. And like I say, man, when you look at this team, man, I look at it that's what set up a lot of disappointment with the win to Alabama. You get what I'm saying? Um, Mike Norvell, I think he's going to be on the hot seat. My personal opinion about Mike Norvell, I think he's a great head coach. I don't think he's a great recruiter, but as a head coach, I think he's doing a good job. But at the same time, it's like on the defensive side of the ball, man, I feel like we got too much talent to allow a true freshman quarterback to dominate us. You get what I'm saying? To be dominated by one player, I think that to allow one player to have their way against us, man, I think we got too much talent for that. And you have to look at the defensive coordinator. That's what has to be examined because on the offensive side of the ball, we showing that we can score, but at the same time, I'm seeing a lack of execution. You know, when I'm seeing players fumble, the game against Pitt, man, we could have took that game and we could have took off and took the lead with that game, man. We could have put that game out of reach when we was driving the ball, but we
Right.
had a fumble. Fumbles to me, I don't put those like things like that. Those things are not put to me. I don't put those on the head coach. I look at player accountability. You get what I'm saying? Now, do coaching play a role in some of the misfortunes that happened this season? Absolutely. But at the same time, I look at more of a player accountability because when you have your running back fumbling, you get what I'm saying, receivers dropping passes in the end zone, that's a lack of execution. Now, when we look at our team, also on our offensive side of the ball, I look at that we're limited. We got a quarterback that's 5'9", trying to throw over guys that's 6'4". You know, so it always going to, and he's not accurate, but he's an athlete. And I think that we've been getting by with his athleticism. You get what I'm saying? And now he's being placed in these situations where he's forced to be a quarterback. And we know that, man, going to the next level, he's not that. So I mean, going forward, I think we still a bowl eligible team, but for what we had our expectations up for, we know that's not going to happen this season.
I totally agree with you, Greg, man. And I think, for me, man, when I look at this offense has to stay ahead of the sticks, man. Like they're not a team that because we don't have a drop back quarterback, like you said, throwing in a traditional offense. So if we're like behind the sticks, it's hard for this offense to get going. When we got second and long, third and long all the time, and we got to get positive yards on first and second down. And I think teams are starting to figure that out with this Florida State offense. If they can keep the negative plays, keep us at third and long, and make Castellanos beat it with his arm, it's gonna be a long night. And I do agree too. Tony White, this 3-3-5 defense, they look good against Alabama, but now watching this defense, man, the linebacker play in this defense is bad. That running back man got off on us, and they kept lining them up on the running back, and that was one thing that I didn't like about Tony White that he didn't make the adjustments to say, hey, take this running back, take this linebacker off this running back, and we maybe put a nickel guy or some guy corner cover him out the backfield. We didn't have no option, and then also too, we had no pass rate, no our lane pass lane was undisciplined. This guy was just able to do what he wanted to do. We made this guy look like a Heisman candidate, a true freshman, man. I think it's unacceptable, and I think Mike Norvell got to get this thing fixed real fast. Going against a Stanford team this week that is not that great. Watch them play. Now they do got a NFL head coach in Frank Wright as their head coach. I think Andrew Luck might be their offensive coordinator still, but
Right.
I mean, anything's possible going on the West Coast. Got a 10:30 kickoff game next week. This week, then I don't know, man. If we lose to Stanford, dog, I think Mike Norvell will fire. See what
Pretty
happens with
much.
other coaches we'll talk about later on in the show.
And like I say, man, I think, man, like I say, man, I think Mike Norvell is a good coach. But at the same time, man, when you come to these programs like Florida State, right, and it's the same thing I was talking about, with Miami and whatnot. When you come and James Franklin experience is the same thing. When you come to these programs, man, it's high expectations, man. You get what I'm saying? We seen in Ohio State, they head coach, they were screaming about their head coaching team won a national championship, and it was the same with Jim Harbaugh. You know, so I mean, and it's like, and I'm gonna say this, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's the nature of the business. You get what I'm saying? It's like when you go to these programs, you know what you sign up for. It's the nature of the business. You get what I'm saying? And not only that, you get what I'm saying. You also getting paid to be at these programs. So these programs pay very lucrative. So once so when you go to these programs, you sign up. You know what you sign up for when you go to a blue blood in collegiate football. It's pretty much championship or bust with these schools or whatnot. They're not selling for a bowl game. They're not selling for a playoff appearance. They're not selling it just for a championship appearance. These programs want championships.
I totally agree with you, man. And I just look at, right now with, Mike Norvell in year 5 into this program. Yeah, he gave us one undefeated season, got snubbed out. But you look outside this undefeated season, Mike Norvell team to very underperform. And players that he played with was players that he didn't really recruit. You look at the players he's bringing in under him, man, you can't recruit like you at Memphis. I hate to say it. You can't recruit like you at Memphis. You have to recruit like your blue blood program and get some of the best talent. And we're seeing now that Mike Norvell is not a great recruiter. Like I said, I think he's a good dude, can coach, but when it comes to the X's and O's, I think, as far as recruiting, he's not there. And also, when you look at Mike Norvell in this program, bro, he has not developed a quarterback since he's been here. You know what I'm saying? Some of the quarterbacks that went on there having success. Lou Altmaier at Illinois was a guy that was supposed to come to Florida State, but he didn't switch. A lot of other quarterbacks that we've had have transferred out, because of just the lack of development, and I think that's very concerning, man. When you see these guys are going over to other places, having success, and so I think when we look at Florida State, man, we gotta really gotta figure something out. I mean, I think Mike Norvell, if he can get this team to say maybe 8 wins this year, I think that saved him his job, and maybe that give him another year to get this the right ship. But if this thing is looking like it was last year, man, we win 5 games, we don't make it to a bowl. Hell, I don't think we make it up. If we win 6 games, I don't think he's out of there, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping he win like 8 games, man, because I don't want to see Mike Norvell leave. You get what I'm saying? We experienced this with Jimbo Fisher. After Jimbo Fisher, we went through the Willie Taggart era or whatnot. You get what I'm saying? And we know how that was, man. I'm talking about we was pretty much playing we was playing like at the bottom of the barrel, man. You get what I'm saying, man? We went through some rough times, man, around that time now. And it was a coach that had talent on his team, but he
Yeah, we did,
underperformed
man.
or
And I
whatnot.
think what Jimbo did that Mike Norvell didn't do. He got us national championship, man. And
Yeah.
and he got us to college, the first ever inaugural college playoff. So he was more accomplished as a coach, and we didn't never have a losing season under Jimbo. If I'm not mistaken, I think the first season was like 7 wins.
Yeah, I would say this, man. Yeah, but I would say this, man. All things considered, um, I witnessed Mike Norvell do more with less, and witnessed Jimbo Fisher underperform. I feel like, man, we supposed to have more national championship appearances, but I mean that's no here nor there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to complain about it. We know things happen. You feel what I'm saying? That's the nature of the game.
Yeah, you're right, man. It is what it is. But I just think now with everything going happening right now, that seems gonna get higher and higher. And I think a lot of people again might be wanting Jimbo to come back, man. But we'll see what happens, man.
So I got a
But
question. So
what's up?
what be the first coach to get fired in the state of Florida? You got, well,
Somebody
Mike
Napier,
Norvell, Billy
and
Napier, and got doggone Mike McDaniels. Did I say his name
okay,
right? Out of
I think
Miami
Mike Miami, Mike James, and Mike Norvell. So
for the
I
Dolphins.
think I think Mike McDaniels might get fired. And the reason why I say that he might be the first to get fired in the state is because of what's happening with this Miami team tour, been really bringing his mouth out, saying a lot of stuff. He been real vocal. but these motherfuckers ain't getting no wins. Mike McDaniel seem like that he has like pretty much just lost his team right now. They're sitting 1-5. They should have won 2 games. They should have won last week against the Chargers. They had a chance to win that game, and you had a chance to win a game against the Carolina Panthers. 2 weeks in a
Right.
row that you had opportunities to win games, you didn't win them. And I think if the writing's on the wall that I don't think this Miami team is this Dolphins team is soft. They're a soft team. For all the talent, speed they got, the wizardry of Mike McDaniel's calling offensively, this team is a soft team. And I think
Right.
you're seeing it now. So I think he would be the first to go down to question, Greg.
Oh yeah. I definitely agree.
But let's talk about some more college football, man. Alabama on a 3-game win streak, bro. You know, uh, they started the season off bad with Florida State, and it looking like it was just a bad loss in a sense. And now you look at what they've done. They've rolled off 3 good victories against 3 ranked teams: Vanderbilt, uh, Georgia, and then they beat Missouri this weekend, man. And so my thoughts right now is, Bama's starting to look back at Bama form, and I think Ty Simpson right now is playing some of the best QB play in the country, if not the best in the SEC.
Right. He's also, he's a high, run up for Heisman and whatnot. And it's the thing, right? Because a lot of people was calling for their head coach to get fired and everything. He need to be fired. And this is my thing, right? Because people always screaming about firing a head coach just because of one loss, or it's only one Nick Saban. You know what I'm saying? It's only one Nick Saban. It's only one Bobby Bowden. It's only one Bear Bryant. You get what I'm saying? And I can name a few of these other head coaches as well. You get what I'm saying? You're not gonna have a repeat. You're not gonna always have a repeat of the success you had in your heydays. You get what I'm saying? It's not always gonna look like that. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of fans, us as fans, we have to learn to chill out you get what I'm saying? Because just say for example, Bear Bryant, I mean not Bear Bryant, but Bama head coach, they would have got rid of him and whatnot. But now look at what he's doing right now. You know, and it was the same thing with Ohio State head coach. They were screaming for his job, man. He was on the hot seat. They was ready to get rid of him. Then he won a national championship, and that talks of him being on the hot seat died down. You know, so I, and that's pretty much my thing, man. You get what I'm saying, man. Sometimes, man, you have to give these coaches a fair shot. You know, you got to give them a chance or whatnot, man. You get what I'm saying? Especially when they are consistent. You know, think about how many times, man, you done seen head coaches fail until they got it right. And it's the same thing we say with quarterbacks too. You know, now with Penn State, I mean, I understand in a way, but at the same time, who you going to get to replace James Franklin? James Franklin going to get him another coaching job, whether this season or next season. You know, you got a lot of teams, man, licking their chops like, okay, they got rid of him, we'll bring him in. You know, let you know a lot. I'm not saying that Penn State is not a good collegiate program to be a part of, but a lot of players that is not kicking their doors down to go play there like that, like with Alabama, Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? With these type schools or whatnot. So when you look at his resume, and I know I got off topic, but when you look at his
No, you
resume,
good.
the teams that he's been losing to, it's been these schools, top 5 schools. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to use, you're going to use that standard to measure him, you can also do that with a lot of these other head coaches as well. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's my thing too with Alabama. They was pushing for his job. Now look what happened. He beat Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Beat Missouri. He beat got doggone Vanderbilt. You know? So
Yeah,
I
I
think
get what you're saying. And when you talk about that with him, and we both agree that Kevin Warren was a good coach. He didn't need to be fired. But since you mentioned Penn State, man. Let's talk about that, man. He got fired, and you know, for him, man, I just think that the university was looking at like, hey, you've been here over 10 years. I want to say you've been there since like a little bit after Bill O'Brien, but maybe what 15, 16 or something like that. He's been there. So
Right.
it's been about 10 years this guy been there. And when you look at James Franklin's record, yeah, he's beat a lot of teams. He's been to some New Year's Six bowl games. You know, he won the Big Ten maybe once or twice while he was there. But what they pay you for, like you said, bro, is championship or bust. And you know, a
Right.
school like Penn State to fall behind, you know, Joe Paterno, you might as well say, because, you know, Bill O'Brien wasn't there for them but like a little hot minute, or I think maybe a season and a half, and he left. So it's like follow behind the great Joe Paterno, who basically put the program on his map, and they're expecting you to get to the big game. And I think realistically, Penn State fans, they're not asking to go to the national championship game every year in, year out, but they want to be in the conversation. They want to be talked about as one of those teams that can make it, or maybe get to it maybe a year, get it to like maybe 1 or 2 years or something like that. But you haven't even been close. The closest you got was last year. You came back this year with a lot of hype with Drew Aller, and everybody's thinking you might be one of those teams, be one of the best teams in the country. At one point in the season, Penn State was ranked number 2. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you have all this hype going into the season, the rankings, and then you let at Oregon. It's like, all right, cool. We can understand that. You haven't been winning those games anyway. But then you come back and lay a big ad to UCLA, to a team that hadn't won a game all season, and they got their first dub on you. And then you come back and lose to a Northwestern team, kind of like Florida State in a sense, with a lower tier conference opponent, and you lose like the way you lose. And I think at that point, as a university and boosters and things like that, they're like, man, it's not gonna never get no better with this dude. This was the best year we supposed to have, and we couldn't capitalize on it. So I think when you look at it like that, they had to make this move. Now, as far as who they gonna hire, some of the names out there being Nebraska coach Matt Rule, um, Kirk Sabe, or whatever his name is, from Indiana. He's named. So there's a couple other names that's floating out there. Do they get those guys? I don't know, because who want to follow? Like I say, that's a lot. That's a pressure situation, man. Check your volume, Greg. No, I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. Yeah, I'm just technical difficulties right here. I think his mic might have went out. So bear with him. Bear with us. Man, you know, it's always work in progress on the Co-Pilots podcast, man. You got doing the mobile thing, truck driving. No, I still can't hear.
What about now?
I
You
hear you
hear me?
now.
Okay.
Yep, I can hear
I
you.
I got it charging up now. I got it charging up. So okay, you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, check it. So this is my thing, right? You know, it's like, okay, you was talking about hype, right? Penn State came in with a lot of hype. Who is putting this hype on these programs? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, when you really analyze this, right, look at Penn State roster, right? You know, not saying that they don't have NFL talent going to the next level, but compare them to the teams that has been winning, right? Who from Penn State that you see going into the league like that? You get what I'm saying? So you have to look at this from a talent standpoint as well. You know, we put a lot of high expectations on these programs, but when it boils down, do they have a lot of talent over there? You know, when you look at the Big Ten Conference, most of the talent is going where? Ohio State, Michigan. You know, Oregon get a lot of talent due to the fact from Oregon was getting a lot of talent as well. Because if you remember around in the Chip Kelly day, he made them relevant. Chip Kelly. But we know that when it came to the talent that was going into the Big Ten, you had Ohio State, Michigan, then the teams like Penn State came after. So when you look at it from a talent standpoint, you have to ask yourself, like, does he have enough talent to even win a national championship?
That is a good question. I mean that is something that I read today in one of my articles I was reading that was the same thing. Was that, hey, you know, from a talent standpoint, you know, James Franklin did he want to run it back with the same guys instead of looking at evaluating his roster and saying, hey, can we compete with some of these guys? And I think that is a valid question that will be brought up. Like, man, what you really evaluate your roster, seeing if you can compete, or you just ran it back with the guys just because off of hype, you know, from media, and then you had a lot of returning, guys coming back thinking that would be enough, not maybe hitting
Right.
the transfer portal, efficiently get guys in. So I think that's something that have to be addressed with that. But I think overall, though, man, anybody that's gonna come in, take this job, man, they're gonna have to really get some players over there, man. The Big Ten, man, I ain't gonna lie, man, it's starting to get like the SEC a little bit, man, when it comes to like some of the like the competition and stuff like that. These teams start to beat up on each other. So I mean, whoever come in and get this job for James Franklin, man, they're gonna have to really do a roster turnover to make these guys compete if they want to compete with the Ohio States, the Oregons, the Michigans of this conference.
Right. See, people have to realize this, right? And I'm not, and it's not to throw no shade to the in the state of Pennsylvania, right? But look at the most dominant schools that are in collegiate football. What do they have in common? What these schools have in common is this: the players that they are able to recruit out of their backyard. Look at the state of Florida. You know, when you look at the big three in Florida, Miami, Florida, Florida State, it's a heavy recruiting pool. South Florida, Central Florida, North Florida. You know, look at
Right,
Georgia. You have talent in the state of Georgia. You have talent in Alabama. You have talent in Texas. You have talent in California. You get what I'm saying? So now going over, like, when you look at the state of Pennsylvania, now, do Pennsylvania have talent over there? Yes, they do. But at the same time, their talent pool is not as deep as when you look at the state of Florida, the state of Georgia, Alabama, Texas, California. You get what I'm saying? So
right.
when you look at it on a college level, most players like to do what? Stay home. Stay close as home as possible. You get what I'm saying? And for most of these kids, it's very advantageous for them to stay home. You know what I'm saying? For them to stay home due to financial, situations. So when you look at Penn State, it's like it's not a lot of talent to pull from out of the state of Pennsylvania like it is these other states. And you don't have a lot of players going up there to go play unless they're not able to make it in the state that they already at. You know what I'm saying? So I say that, man, you
Yeah,
have to take these things in consideration. This is why the Southeast is so dominant because most of the talent is in these areas. When you look into when you
right.
look at that region,
You're absolutely right, man. It's always been like that, man. So I just did a little quick
but
Google search here, and I
when
just
you
read
look
out
at
one of the top
Ohio
numbers that
State
say
and Michigan, and the
players
thing
that
of
produce. Penn State has produced many NFL players. Almost produced the most notable names from the state of Pennsylvania. Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Johnny Unitas, Aaron Donald, Mike Ditka, and Saquon Barkley are
yeah,
like the most notable players.
they got
You know
some
what I'm
players
saying?
now.
Matt Ryan as well, man. So they got a couple players, but like you said, it
Yeah,
ain't like in abundance of like when you just look at the list from Florida. Like I can, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, There's a few players, but not like they're not like in the state of Florida. I agree with
Now
you.
they have
Big players like that.
impactful players. You know what I'm saying? They have impactful players that they came in over a span of time. But just think about when you look at some of the most dominant rosters in college football, you like, dang, they had all these players. Like when you look at the U, right? You like, damn, they had all these players at one time. Alabama, they had all these kids at one time. You knew they was going to dominate. You know, so it you know,
I totally agree with that, man. I totally agree with that, bro. But
but the
speaking of
thing
team
with
that ain't afforded
Michigan,
no talent,
but the thing with Michigan and Ohio State, they are established. Now Penn State are established too, but it's like Ohio State, they keep themselves relevant. Same thing with Michigan. It took Michigan some time before it happened again. You get what I'm saying? Because they was talking about the same thing with Jim Harbaugh as well. You know what I'm saying? Until he actually beat Ohio State.
I think also too, you gotta look at too the NIL money too. But I don't think the NIL money for what Michigan is getting, what Ohio State getting, Penn State, I don't think they can match that type of NIL money. So you have to look at that too as well. That's one
Right.
thing because I think if the money was there, they would be able to get a lot more players. But I don't think they can compete with those guys too. So that's gonna be another thing too, bringing the coach in, how that NIL money looks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some more college teams, man. Let's talk about Texas. We're gonna stick in the state of Texas. They got the bounce back win. Oklahoma after a bad loss to Florida. Um, Arch Manning probably played his best game of the season, bro. Um, and then you got Florida losing to A&M, man. And so I know that sequel Napier, it's definitely heating up, man. So what's your thoughts on those?
Yeah. Um, with Texas, man, they needed that win right there. Like seriously, they needed that win right there. You get what I'm saying? That was like a bounce back win. To lose to Florida, which we know that Florida, like even though they're not as good of a team, they're not a team that should look past as because they got a good defense. And we know that Ladway still he's talented, but he's still raw. And he can so when you're like that, we know that it's sometimes you can make plays, you know, but he haven't developed that, he haven't developed to the fact that where he can be consistent yet. You get what I'm saying? But he's still a raw
Right.
talent. But like I say, but we know, like I say, man, that seat is getting real hot, man, in Gainesville. You know, that schedule don't help it, man. They do not have a favorable schedule. They do not. They overachieved last year. This year, man, it's kind of rough for them. And I think it's unfortunate for Billy Napier or whatnot, But at the end of the day, hey, this is what and go back to what we're saying. This is what you sign up for. When you go to these schools, you know the expectations or whatnot.
Right. And I totally agree, bro. And another thing is too with Napier, man, I think too is the fact that I think we all kind of knew that they would probably could win that Texas game the way Arch Manning was playing. So insiders like outside the state of Florida, they thought Texas losing to Florida was how they could lose to this team they've been playing so bad. But I think people inside the state and people that really followed this Florida team coach knew, hey, this is a win they can get. You know what I'm saying? Because of how bad Arch Manning was playing. But like you said, bro, they
Right.
bounced back, bro. And I think that with them, this was a game that they, like you said, they needed this game, man. And you see, they ranked them. I think they back in the top 25, man. A lot of people didn't like that ranking that they got put back in the top 25 with 2 losses. But
Right.
hey, when you beat the number 16 in the country, dog, that says something. Shit, look what they did with Florida State week
Florida.
1 after we beat the number 18 and we wasn't ranked. So we had to kind of
Right.
know that they was gonna get that rank.
Exactly. Kind of agree with that. But back like with Billy Napier though, going back to that, this is my thing with Billy Napier, right? And I know I used to be real hard on him in the past, but I kind of let up after last season because I thought he did a great job. my thing was this, man. Napier did not inherit a bad situation, and the reason why I'm bringing this up because it's like the program at Florida should be further along than what they is now. Um, just making being bowl eligible should not be an accomplishment. This team as of right now should be looked at when you look at far as the talent they bring in and how long Billy Napier has been there. This team should be farther along when you're looking at this team as a title contender. At least a team that should be in the running to make the college playoffs. But we know that it's not that. We haven't looked at Florida in that light in a while. So that's pretty much my thing with Billy Napier, man. It's like, he's not bringing the program forward, you know, to the University of Florida standards. And we know that, and like I say, man, it come with the job. If you're not doing that, if you're not even in that conversation, it's a problem. And he's never been in that conversation. This team has never been in that conversation.
I totally understand that too,
Yeah.
Red man. You absolutely right, and you can say the same for Florida State too as well. And I don't want to pop back on Florida State, but I do agree that this program should be in a better state. And I actually thought, going into the season with all the talent that they had, that Napier was going to be a running for winning the SEC this year. Like, they might be one of the teams to win the SEC.
I
But
didn't
it
think
came
that.
out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, yeah, this
I
is
ain't think
the
that.
year.
Yeah, I ain't think that at all. I wasn't even
I
close to
did, and I
thinking
was like,
that.
man. I mean, I thought that they had a chance. And I think they would run the table like go undefeated. I absolutely not. But I did think they had a chance, with talent. Thinking with Ladway coming back, you got to look at how they finished the season last year. They
I
got, I
understand
mean,
that.
against the Hearts, this is the second year in a row they had a tough schedule. So it's like
Right.
they're gonna be built for it this year with the talent. But I mean, man, Ladway looked so bad, bro. I mean, he just
Yeah.
looked bad, bro. And, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, what can you do? And
I didn't. I
the,
didn't even much see them competing for it because I'm looking at on their side of the conference, Georgia and Tennessee. I did not think they was better than Georgia or Tennessee. You know, and but I thought that, like I say, man, I thought they had an overwhelming schedule, so I didn't really have a lot of expectations for them. I was like, damn, could they repeat the same magic from last season? I didn't see it. I felt like they had too much on their plate, man.
I don't know, fair point. Speaking of a team that they're gonna actually get ready to play soon, it's Georgia Florida weekend coming up, and I don't know if you watched that game. Very controversial call. A lot of Auburn fans felt like they was robbed of a touchdown when they scored. It was like, but the ball was moving, it was moving. You know what I'm saying? But they felt like it crossed over. They lost, 20-10 in a game that it looked like Auburn had them for the taking the first half. Georgia couldn't do nothing. But then Georgia came back. What Georgia do? They came back like they did in Tennessee with Auburn, and they just played a better second half, and they ended up getting a dub, man. So, what's your thoughts on that game, Greg?
Playing against a team like Georgia, you never let a ref decide that game. When you put your foot on their neck, you keep it on there. You know what I'm saying? You put your hand around their throat and you squeeze. You get what I'm saying? See, the only thing Auburn did when they came out, they just put their hand around their throat a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And they made a couple of
Yeah.
threats, but they didn't squeeze. You get what I'm saying? So now you pretty much reduce your leverage. And so we know, like a team like Georgia, man, you may get a couple of punches off. It may look good or whatnot. But at the same time, you gotta destroy them, man, because we know how much fight, how much dog. This team is called the Bulldogs. Let's start right there. So you know how much dog this team got in them. You know what I'm saying? Like we talking about a Kirby Smart Bulldog team. We're not talking about a Mark Rich Bulldog team. We're talking about a Kirby Smart Bulldog team. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
they came out there playing, man. They went up and you played. You know, you gotta keep scoring, man. You cannot let up. And Georgia figured it out. Hey, listen, they limited. You know what I'm saying? And Georgia did what they were
Yeah, you're
supposed to.
right about that.
We
And
knew
I
going to
thought
this
that might have
team.
been the upset at one point. I said they didn't do it. But again, you're right, man. With Georgia, man, they're one of those teams that you can get up big. You gotta constantly be going full throttle. Like you said, put your foot on their neck, keep it on their neck. If you don't do that with this Georgia team, they will come back. I mean, they almost made it come back against Alabama, but Alabama was able to hold them off. Um, but yeah, man. Georgia is still a good team, still in the competition. This SEC, man, it's gonna come down to the wire. We're going to win the SEC, man, because I think it's another one of these undefeated teams. Uh, Ole Miss, I think one of them may fall next week.
Mm, could be.
Yeah, man. Any of your final thoughts on college football, man? Before we segue into NFL,
Nah,
we're gonna segue into NFL, man. We're gonna start with our beloved Jags. Um, Jaguars fell short, this week against the Seahawks, man. And my initial thoughts on this game was, I'm not gonna say it was a letdown from the Monday night game. A lot of people want to use that as an excuse to say, "Oh, this why the team why they didn't win." I just think that Seahawks came in with a better game plan. They explored a lot of things in our secondary, and I think our secondary on the defensive side of the ball was disrespecting Jackson Jitman Smith a little bit too much, giving him too much cushion. The receivers got in a rhythm. Sam Darnold got in a rhythm on the offensive side of the ball. And then when you look at on the defensive side of the ball, Trevor Lawrence couldn't get protected. He had six, seven sacks on Sunday. You're not gonna win a bunch of
right.
ball games like that. Your quarterback getting sacked that many times in the game. So, man, I think it's a lot that they need to do. They got this London trip. They're gonna all be bonding together like some college stuff. All in hotel rooms throughout the week, things like that. I think this could pay dividends for this team, and I think this might be the lynch point where this team can actually ascend and they can start consistently playing better football. What's your thoughts?
I think the test against the O line get harder coming season, man. You get what I'm saying? You got to go against Braden Fish, Jared Verse, you know what I'm saying? Turner, these guys, man. So, and we know that, man, this is a well coached team over there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, man, you got to defend Devontae Adams, Puka Nakua. You know what I'm saying? So,
He might be out this week too. I think
yeah,
Puka out
they
this week.
say, yeah, and then they still got a good running back in the backfield.
Kyron
So
Williams.
man, yeah, Kyron Williams. So we gotta, and I would say this probably made outside of Kansas City, you know what I'm saying? This probably the most versatile team that we're playing against. You know, um, like man, we know that man. You like I say, man, this is a well coached team, man. A veteran team, an experienced team. So team really going to be tested or whatnot. You can look at the KC game and say we got tested or whatnot, but we know sometimes upsets happen. Some people may want to call it a fluke. Regardless, we won the game.
Facts.
This game here, man, winning this game will make a statement, by winning this game right here. You get what I'm saying? Because we're not just going against a scrub team. Like this team is really going to get tested, going against the Rams. And I don't think people realize how good this team actually is. You know.
Yeah,
So and also, man, you got Lem Corn is going against his old head coach. He came from under that coaching tree.
absolutely right, man. And a lot of things too with this team is right now. Matthew Stafford is leading passing yards. So, like you said,
Right.
I think the secondary gonna have the biggest challenge they have. Because Matthew Stafford gonna sling it, man. He's seen every coverage, everything across under the sun, being an OG quarterback right here in the game. So,
Right.
I think we're gonna have to really the defense really gonna be tested, man. Um, but I like what I like the defense, man. I think Stafford could maybe give us a few turnovers, during the ball, and I think that might be the key for us winning this game if we get turnovers. Last Sunday we didn't get no turnovers. Seahawks played a clean game, and we're seeing that
Right.
now. That might be the blueprint to beating this Jaguars today. If we can play a clean game, don't give them the ball, don't give them easy turnovers. turnovers short field, let them beat themselves. This might be the blueprint to beat the Jags, but I think the Jaguars defense, they're gonna get some turnovers this week. I think there's gonna be opportunities. We gotta cash in on those opportunities this week. I think the
Right.
biggest thing though that I want to see change is the pre-snap penalties and the penalties in general for this team, because right now we're leading the league in penalties. 65
Yeah.
yards per game penalties. They're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? We've seen other teams that had a lot of penalties, and we've seen how it's been going for them in those games. So I think that got to be something Liam Coin's going to be focusing on the pre-snap things and trying to make sure that we get things lined up on the offensive side of the ball and not having those middle mistakes. Like we had a crucial middle mistake at the end of the game where the Seahawks going to kick the field goal, give us a chance to get the ball back, but we I think we got, but I don't know what it was, and they end up getting the ball ran timeout. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like we got to clean up those things, man. I think if we can just clean up those things, I think we got a chance to beat these the Rams. And hey, it's like a home game for us, man. So I mean, the Rams. I don't know if have they been overseas yet for a London game since they've been. So I think we'll pretty much have the advantage and the edge on like schedule and things like that. We go over there every year. I think this could be, I really do think this could be a lunch or something real big for this team.
Right. Man, I think, pretty much everybody's strategy is to come in and play a clean game. But we know that sometimes it don't happen, unfortunately. But at the same time, we have to be able to not beat ourselves. And our offense got to be able to put points on the board as well. You know what I'm saying? It's like we cannot have, we have to be able to be, we have to be able to play in any situation. We can't just let the amount of turnovers we have determine our wins or whatnot. Sometimes, man, we have to show that we are able to play in a shootout. Sometimes we got to be able to show that we are able to play in a dog fight. You know what I'm saying? Being able to win on all levels. This is what makes a great football team. So, and I think that a lot of teams could be looking at us like we're one dimensional. If we don't beat ourselves, we can beat this team. You get what I'm saying? We have to be able to win.
That's what
Even
a
if
lot of things.
teams,
Yeah, I
we
do
have to be
agree.
able to beat. We have to be able to win even if teams don't beat themselves. And it starts with us being able to capitalize, like you pointed this out, not being able to go in behind the sticks on pre-snap penalties. You know, being able to protect the quarterback. Being able, catching the ball, the basic things. You get what I'm saying? The basic things. Sometimes teams have better strategies, but when I look at the game against Seattle, I didn't look at it as a team that we got out coached or Seattle had a better strategy. They was just more physical than us, and we did not do the basics. Like just catching the ball, making the proper throws, protect the quarterback. Basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing. I don't see nothing that Seattle did scheme wise that was like above us. You know what I'm saying? That we couldn't be that we couldn't what I'm saying overcome. They just played a more physical game. You know what I'm saying? Fundamentals. And that's what we have to be able
Well,
to get done, man.
the only
It's
thing I
just that
would
simple.
disagree with you on, Greg, was on the defensive side of the ball. I felt like the defensive game plan that Seattle came in with really confused Trevor Lawrence, man. Because if you look at most of the game, man, it wasn't really blitzing really heavy. It was only really sending 4, maybe 5 guys, and they was dropping a lot of guys in coverage. Because you got to think to remember they had a lot of guys. A lot of guys was out. The 2
Right.
top corners was out. They said they was banged up. So a lot of guys was dropping in coverage. And you see early on in the game, they had some laps in coverages. That's how we got the touchdown, the Brian Robinson touchdown. But then they made that adjustment, and it just seemed like Trevor was holding on to the ball a little bit too long. You know what I'm saying? And we got a lot of coverage sacks. You know what I'm saying? Because of that. I think, that's the only thing that I think Seattle did well with the guys in their coverage, which held them to the ball, which led to those sacks. Seven
But
sacks
that's when
again,
you
like you
but
said,
that's when you
the basic stuff. So we got to clean up, and I think if we can clean up that basic stuff, that'll give us a chance, man. But
but when you see these
Trump got
things,
to recognize stuff better, man. When it comes to
but
that
this
stuff, and I'm
but this the
hard on
thing
that
when
because He
But
in year 5. There's certain things that he got to do better at, man.
But when you see these things, that's when you throw the ball away. You don't hold on to the ball or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, most of the game, Trevor Lawrence did not have a whole lot of time. You know what I'm saying? But
Right,
you have to throw the ball away. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, we seen throws that Trevor made where he was high selling the receivers. You know, he was,
right.
throwing the ball. So this is why I say the basic things and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing they did that was spectacular. You just got to make the throw. You know what I'm saying? Even if they had, granted, they
And
could have had
allow me to
certain
cut you off
plays.
too, Greg. I don't know if you remember this. Uh, remember we was in field goal range, and this something Trevor got to learn how to like get live to fight another down. You can't take a sack in certain situations when you're in field goal range. You knock us out of field goal range one time he took a sack.
And that's why I pointed out you have to know when to throw the ball away, man. One of the quarterbacks I seen, he was probably the best at this, right? And that was Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers know within the first 2-3 seconds, and that's why they say he was the best quarterback when it came to pre-snap reads. He knew within the first 3 seconds whether I need to throw the ball away this play and have a chance. That's why he was one of the most least sacked quarterbacks. It's not because it was his ability to scramble or he had the best line, but he knew how to play well. It was, man, you remember we played against them the Saxonville year. I don't even think we really got the Drew Brees that game like we did the other quarterbacks because he knew when to throw the ball away. He's like, okay, they coming in. We know the protection is an issue. Throw the ball away. Throw the ball away. And
Right.
this is what he had, and this, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm only talking about a few plays because the O-line was the biggest contributor to this loss this week. You know what I'm saying? To the shortcomings with the offense. They did not hold up. But like I say, man, basics. It's nothing Seattle did that looked confusing or whatnot, or that they did the scheme up that we looked at like, dang, they doing a great job, with from their offensive coordinator. It just on all end, we didn't do the basics right. We didn't protect the quarterback. We didn't catch the football. You know what I'm saying? Pre-snap penalties. And Trevor had a few throws, you know what I'm saying, that he didn't make. So it's pretty much we put ourselves, we beat ourselves on offense.
Yeah, I can agree to something that to a certain degree. I think I think it's a lot on film this week that you can look at and be like, all right, man, like we got to clean this up. This up that we know we can play, we can do better at. And I think they will, man. I know I like our chances in this game, man. So I'm not, we still sitting at 4-2, and I think a lot of fans, being looking at the half glass, empty glass full, whatever you want to call it. I think it's still good because I told you earlier on the day when we were talking about this, I thought we'd be sitting at 2-3 right now at this point. I thought our only wins were going to get against Carolina and the Seahawks, honestly. I thought them would be our 2 wins.
Right.
And, right now we sitting at, 4-2. And it's like, our chance of making playoffs still pretty high in the NFL. And I think right now with the back end of the schedule being the sixth easiest schedule in the league, I think the Jaguars can really, do some damage this part of the season, man. I'm
Right.
hoping we really turn up this part, man. But any final thoughts, or you want to go on and start
Thi-
talking about some other games?
this is my thing, right? When I look at this season, right, I do see the glass half full. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Mm-hmm.
do think we're a playoff team. Teams haven't figured us out yet. But I'm gonna say this: moving forward with this team, moving forward, in order for this team to have any type of consistency, either Trevor going to have to get better, or the talent around him is going to have to get better. You get what I'm saying? Because,
Right.
like I say, man, we know like just moving. We looking at this team like, oh yeah, we balling out, we're doing good. But at the same time, too, we know that, man, if your quarterback is not getting better, teams is going to figure you out. You get what I'm saying? And we do not have the type of defense, you know what I'm saying? To we do not have a I went outside of the turnovers. we may have a office. You get what I'm saying? But I will say we're still limited. You know what I'm saying? We're still limited. But at the same time, like I say, man, moving forward with this team in the future, if this team want to see any type of consistency when it comes to winning, either Trevor going to have or the talent around him is going to have to get better. You get what I'm saying? Because I I
And I
I
think,
I
I
I,
think,
I think I look at
go
this
ahead. I didn't
season
mean to
just
cut you off,
because
bro.
it's this season and teams haven't started scheming against us. You know what I'm saying? As of right now, we're Jacksonville. You know what I'm saying? We're not looking at being looked at as a team that's a threat. When teams start looking at us as a team as a threat, they start scheming. They're going to break everything down. You get what I'm saying? Trevor's going to get broke down again, and it's going to be the same thing that went on with Doug Peterson.
Yeah, man. I think, when you asked me that question about do the talent got to get better around him or do Trevor got to get better, I think it'll be more the talent for everybody to get around him because I don't think, in my honest opinion, Trevor's going to get any better. I think the Trevor we see, the height of Trevor this year was the Kansas City game. That's the best Trevor we're going to, first Trevor we're going to, if we can get that Trevor moving forward, I'm okay with that. But again, I think everybody else going to have to rise around him. Brian Thomas Jr. going to have to catch the ball. Travis
Oh, of
Hunter, I'm
course.
not gonna blame him. Say he's not played better. I thought Travis Hunter did what he could do. Outside of that, lining up, which I don't blame him for that because he did what any wide receiver do in his check with the lineman. Like, hey, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So I think the talent around him is gonna have to get better for us to get better, man. But you know what I'm saying?
Right,
We still got to wait another 11 more games. So
right.
let's see how this. You know what I'm saying? Let's see how this thing end. I like our chances the rest of the way.
Oh yeah, of course.
So let's talk about some week 6 games, man. Uh, shoot, we start with the. Let me see what I have. Then we talk about this. Now let's start with the Bucs game, man. Bucs sitting at 5-1, bro. Baker Mayfield looking like an MVP caliber candidate. And what I'm loving about Baker Mayfield right now is he's doing it without Mike Evans. Then Abuka went out yesterday. Hamstring looked like he's not gonna be ready for the Detroit game. And he just find a way to win every week, dog. And I'm liking this Baker Mayfield. This is reminding me of Baker Mayfield in college, but a more mature Baker Mayfield. He talking his shit, but he's not being immature about it. He's willing his team, and the team is rallying around him, man. And I think right now the Bucs are the best team in the NFL right now, in my opinion.
Um, I think what we and it's funny that you brought up Baker Mayfield, right? And this is my thing, right? I'm thinking, my opinion that we're witnessing the resurgence of the quarterback class that he came out with him, Sam Darnold, um, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You get what I'm saying? And
Right,
remember I was talking about different quarterback classes. This quarterback class, you may be able to compare this same quarterback class with the '03 quarterback class. And the reason why I say that, right? Most people are gonna say, "Oh man, you're crazy for saying that," you know. But think about it, right? You know, the only thing that the '03 quarterback class got on that quarterback class is the Super Bowl wins and appearances. This one has none as of now. But you have to look at the MVPs. If Baker Mayfield wins MVP this year, which he's pretty much the front runner as of right now, you got 3 dudes out of that quarterback class that won the MVP. You get what I'm saying?
right,
So I mean, I don't know if Jim Kelly ever won MVP or Dan Marino may have. John Elway may have. You get what I'm saying? But more than
right,
like you have multiple like Lamar Jackson has multiple MVP seasons. You know,
right,
um, Josh Allen, he had multiple MVP caliber seasons or whatnot, and we can't forget about Sam Darnold with what he's doing. He's also in the conversation. If you look at by the numbers, he also is in the conversation for MVP as well. If we're going by the numbers, if you look at his touchdowns to interception ratio, so I think that when you look at all, the quarterback class, this quarterback class could be like one of the most comparable to the '03 quarterback class. When you look, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I ain't think about it like that though, Greg. But you made some great points. I think if if Baker Mayfield win an MVP, like you said, bro, that would be very interesting to say that quarterback class had all those MVPs. What I do like about what you're saying is a resurgence in these guys. But one thing I will say too about guys like Baker and Sam Darnold was they was finally able to get their niche and find their groove and find a team to beat them. And you're
Right,
seeing these guys play how they expected them to play when they came out of college. And it's good to see that that these guys still believe in themselves and still thought they could be a franchise quarterback and they put bet on
right,
themselves. And I like to see that. And I love to see that. That Seahawks Tampa Bay game was probably one of the best games of the year so far. The guys going back and forth, so I mean it was a good game. So but to see Baker Mayfield right now beating the Tampa Bay team, bro, is good, man.
And I think the only reason why a lot of people would disagree with me because they're going to bring up the Super Bowl wins. But we have to remember that we're talking about individuals. You get what I'm saying? From an
Right.
individual standpoint, Super Bowl, that is a team effort. You cannot help the teams that's placed around you most of the time. You get what I'm saying? Some people go to trash teams, you know. And so if we're looking from an individual standpoint, you have to look at the MVPs over the Super Bowl rings and whatnot. Now, I understand, we Super Bowl is held to the highest regard. You know, these quarterbacks, like when you look at John Elway, he was a big reason for the success of the Denver Broncos. You know what I'm saying? But after that, you had Terrell Davis. Now, although Marino never won a Super Bowl, Jim Kelly never won, but Jim Kelly went to 4, Marino went to 1. You know, now this the other quarter they haven't went to none yet. But at the same time, the verdict is still out. Their story is still being written right as of right now. You know, they're still writing their story as of right now. But like I say, you go back to what I'm saying because I only brought that up because I knew people would argue against what I'm saying. But at the same time, this quarterback class can be compared to the '03 quarterback class.
I mean, when you look at it with those three quarterbacks, man, I mean, you make a great point. You know what I'm saying? On being that, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing far fetched from it because these guys are playing at a high level.
Right,
I would only push back with that would be can these guys can play at the continued high level like a Lamar, like Josh Allen, because these guys have played at a high level longer than those guys. Can they continue to play at the same level as those guys? And then we might be able to have a conversation with which quarterback class is best right now, man. That class is still sitting pretty high regards, but with the way these guys been playing as of the last 2 years, hey, that definitely could change the trajectory of how these guys will be viewed once their careers are over.
right.
So let's segue into some other quarterbacks that's trying to make history, man. Cleveland Browns, Steelers. You know what I'm saying? That game, we know what the Steelers were going to do. We knew they were going to win that game. Dylan Gabriel started. Dylan Gabriel was horrible, dog. I mean, dude didn't throw the ball like past 15 yards, dog. I mean, it's just I don't know what it is. And I still think he played with, I give him like a C grade. But I think you can never win with a quarterback throwing the ball over 50 times. That's a recipe for disaster. And I
Oh, of
think at this
course.
point, you got to start thinking about Shedeur Sanders, man. Is he the guy to come in there and play, man?
I
Because
would I
at
would
least he can stretch the field. If you're trying to stretch the field, you got to give him a spin, man. I think if Dylan Gabriel continue to play like this, I think they roll him out one more week. They
right.
give him one more week, and I think after that, man, if he's still looking like ass, I think you got to give Shedeur a shot, man.
I would say this, the season is still young or whatnot. We know that, this team has no playoff aspirations. But at the same time, when you look at these quarterbacks and whatnot, I would say, man, to keep him in rhythm, I would go with him another week. Even though I would love to see Shedeur go out there this week. But to be fair to Dylan Gabriel, I would give him another week because you it's like, you cannot neglect what we already saw. We seen him play. And
Right.
even though it's the preseason, we did see him play good in spurts. You know what I'm saying? We seen him play good. Um, even the week before that. So against Minnesota. So we cannot look past that. So we gotta ask, like, did he look that bad to the point that we feel as though that we know what we getting out of him? You get what I'm saying? Like,
I get what you're saying.
so we have to. I look at it from that standpoint. You know, and two, like you say, man, you wanna keep him in rhythm. It could have been a bad week. He went against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, Watts, Ramsey, Porter. You get what I'm saying? He went against a Pittsburgh Steelers team. You get what I'm saying? We know when you got the AFC North playing against, when you got these teams playing against each other, it's gonna it's liable to be a dog fight. I done seen games when Cleveland was at their worst, competing against, these other teams in the conference and whatnot. You know, and a lot of times, man, these be some of the best games to watch, especially if you're a dude that like defense. These
Yeah.
be some, hard hitting games, man.
Physical,
And
very physical.
I'm talking from a sloppy standpoint, the reason why these are great games to watch, you know. But I would give him another shot. He's only a rookie. I would give it, just to keep him in rhythm. Have him make his third start, and he underperformed. Then you see what you get out of Shedeur Sanders. We know that and the season is still young. We know it's going to be. It could be. It's probably a matter of time before you're going to see what you're going to get out of Shedeur Sanders. My thing is this with Dylan Gabriel. You have to ask yourself, does he has the arm strength to be able to play in the league or whatnot? You know what I'm saying? Because as of right now, he's looking like Garner Minshew. You know, um, and he had moments where he'll light it up, but when that arm start giving out, oh man, it's like, man, those passes start coming out slow. That arm not looking as crispy anymore. You get what I'm saying? So,
Right.
then also, man, it's not a lot of talent on the offensive side of that ball as well, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We seen, he had a lot of drop passes as well. So, I would give him another week. I would give him another week.
Yeah, man. I think with the Browns, man, it's like you know this was the guy that Kevin Stefanski wanted, man. That's the crazy part. And you looking at him play, it's like, damn, dog, you're not stretching the field. And I'm like, teams are seeing that. You look at Mike Tomlin defense and what they did this week against them. It seemed like they looked at that taking Minnesota like, we're gonna play them this way, uh, making everything hard for them, even with the check downs and all the small throws. We're gonna make it
Right.
hard. And that's what they did. They made we gonna make you throw the ball downfield. And I think that was the thing that I want to see. And it looked like Cam Stefanski is limiting him on the offensive side of the ball, limiting him. Looked like he's not opening up the whole playbook for him. In my opinion, it's the second week. But you got to tip your hat to the Steelers, man, and what they did, because they quietly won the AFC North. And I don't think nobody thought they would go into this division. I think everybody thought it would be between the Ravens and the Bengals winning this division. And you look at this Steelers team, they pretty old veteran team. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of old guys. Mike Tomlin got rid of a lot of talent. We're going to talk about George Pickens later in the podcast, the Cowboys. But they got rid of a lot of guys. And they won one man. And can they be the top team in the NFC? My thing is with them, it's going to be health. Because Jalen Ramsey was playing banged up. He been playing banged up most of the season. Uh, Joy Porter got banged up earlier. He came back this season. They got a lot more guys on the offensive line that's hurt, but they fighting through injuries. And I think my biggest thing with the Steelers is can the in key positions with the veterans that they sign, can they last the duration of the whole season? If they can't, this might be the Achilles heel of this team because I don't see really a lot of depth behind these starters for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right, right. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh got a good team, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had my issues with that pickup because I knew how to look if this team was to underperform or whatnot. You know, Steelers fans, they already calling for Mike Tomlin to go out the door. Well, some Steelers fans, not all. And we know how this situation we know how it can plan out, man. And they go back to what I was saying earlier when we was talking about college expectations. Now it's a lot of expectations being put on the Steelers now. You get what I'm saying, especially among their fan base. Now, if it doesn't work out, who are they going to look at? They're going to look at Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. These guys they're going to look at. And we know that sometimes you're not the better team. Sometimes you don't get it done. You know, sometimes you have an off day. It's win or go home. Yeah. So
Yeah, man, I'm gonna say this though, Greg. If the Steelers let go Mike Tomlin, bro, it will be about eight to ten teams lining up to get him because this guy's a proven winner. And I think
oh yeah.
if anybody else get Tomlin, I think the next job he get, they're gonna throw GM boots on him too as well. They're gonna have a good team building. I think anybody this person let him go, the next team he go to, they're gonna make him head coach and general manager. I book. He can pick the players he wants. And I think, he's been around the Rooneys, the family, how they've done things. I think you take what he learned from that and can be a GM head coach. But yeah,
Right.
man, I mean, Steelers gonna have to be real careful with that. They let him go. But I do think to some defense to Steelers fans, they tired of seeing the Steelers make it to the damn playoffs. Make it past the first round. Make it to the division round. Make it to the AFC Championship game. Give us some reason to believe that, what I'm saying, that this team can get out of the first round of the playoffs. And I think that's the biggest frustration with this fan base.
Right. You got to give me somebody better than Kenny Pickett, man. If you talking about you want me to make it out the playoff, give me somebody better than Mitch Trubisky. You know what I'm saying? You want?
Big facts, big facts, big facts.
Yeah, yeah,
I agree,
man.
man. So Monday night games, man, and talk about those games. I think the Monday night game for me, but the biggest one that I wanted to point out was Bijan Robinson, man. I think it was his coming out party. I thought that, the way he played on Monday night, if anybody never seen Bijan Robinson really playing in the big stage, you got to see what this guy's doing. This guy is the Atlanta Falcons offense, dog. He gets it going. And once Bijan Robinson is going, it's a bad day for the team, man, because then you got to win with guys like Drake London. I'm still expecting Kyle Pitts to come and play better too. He's still kind of been disappointing me in Atlanta before. But overall, man, those Atlanta Falcons team, they really impressed me last night. The defense got out there with Josh Allen, man. And right now they got the number one defense in the league right now. But salute to the brother,
Raheem
Raheem
Morris.
Morris. Yeah, man, getting this team to play up for this big stage, bro. And I like what I saw with the Falcons, man. If they can continue to play like this, they could be a team that could be very dangerous in the NFC, bro.
Oh yeah, of course, definitely is, man. I think, man, Bijan Robinson been had his coming out party. I mean, we been knew what he can do. You feel me? From his first season or whatnot. But yeah, that a real deal, man. He the real deal. He probably one of the best backs in the league right now. I think he's a runner up for MVP also. We
Facts,
know
big
how,
facts.
but it might be hard for him to get it. We know that, man. It's a quarterback-driven league or whatnot, man. It got to be an off-year quarterbacks in order for any other player to get that award. But he doing his thing, man. Right now, he doing his thing.
Absolutely, man. And for the Bills, man, like two losses in a row, man. Do you still believe in the Bills? I know I still believe in the Bills. I still think they're a playoff team. and I think they'll right the ship. They kind of like going through the same thing Kansas City was going through. Penalties, man. Look at them. They had a lot of penalties last night as well too. So I think if they clean that up, they'll be fine, man. I'm not gonna just jump the ship, but I think the Bills gonna be there one of those teams in the AFC, man.
Oh yeah, I think like I said, man, this could. I still think that this could be the Bills' season and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's a possibility, especially if you don't have to worry about Kansas City. But I think Kansas City is starting to find their swag back, whatnot. With players like Worthy coming back. Um, but I like I say, man. A lot of times they only be a play behind, man. And they probably like, man, if we don't have to worry about Kansas City, man, this ours for the taking. And so, they definitely can't mess that up this season. You get what I'm saying? Because a lot of people is not sure. We know that Kansas City can find their stride or whatnot. Andy Reid's still one of the best head coaches in the league. But, you know, but if I'm a one of the opposing teams, I'm gonna look at it as like, man, I'm gonna be very optimistic about, what we can do if we was to play against them. You get what I'm saying? Especially when you lose to a team like when you lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is how teams gonna look at it. You lost to the Jaguars or whatnot. Even though we feel like, it need to be a little more respect put on our names, but we know how the league is
Exactly,
gonna
bro.
get but we know how the league is gonna look at it, you know?
Yeah, man, I agree with that too, bro, man. I agree with that. But it was a good game, man. Another team that looked good, and I think this might have been sort of a fluke win. I don't know. These guys are really for real. Chicago Bears won on a field goal late in the game last night. Thought it was somewhat a competitive game. Caleb Williams played good in his hometown return. Jake Daniels had a costly form at the end of the game, man. But two teams I think could be. I don't think the Bears is the playoff team in my opinion. But the NFC North has just got a lot interesting because right now you got three teams with winning records in the NFC North. I want to say everybody in the NFC North might have a winning record, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, we don't know, man. I still think Detroit Lions is the team to beat in that division. But with the Bears winning, man, that 2-game win streak, can they build something? Ben Johnson, new head coach.
Yeah.
See what
I
they
got
can
a
do, man.
question to ask you. Okay,
What's
let's
up?
say if the Lions win, right? Would the trade with Jared Goff and Matt Stafford go down as the greatest trade of all time?
Ooh, that's a tough one though, man. I think it might, it could be because if you
Because
think about it though, bro, both franchises are succeeding. You get what
right,
I'm saying? You look what Stafford was able to do with the Rams. How he went and got one of them a Super Bowl final. And I think for us football fans, we was kind of happy to see Stafford win one because he played so many bad years for the Detroit Lions. But then you look at a guy like Jared Goff, who,
right,
basically the Rams said we couldn't win with you. And then he
right,
came with the darn Detroit Lions. And now his team has been this probably the best version of the Detroit Lions I've seen since I've been watching football. You know what I'm saying? With this Detroit Lions team. So it's like you make a point, Grant. This could be the
yeah,
greatest trade. Both teams are succeeding and shit. If Jared Goff didn't win on this upcoming, I think they play on Monday night or either Sunday night against the Bucs.
right.
Man, they
And
could
see,
be one of the best. We could be talking about them as one of the best teams in the NFC right now too as
right,
well. So this could be, man. We got to see how the Chargers made in the next couple of years, how it all unfold. But you make a good case for that. It could be one of the
right.
best trades of all time. I agree.
And that's pretty much like my question, like that's pretty much my question also to our listeners, right? If Jared Goff was to win the Super Bowl, would the trade between Jared Goff and Matt Stafford go down as the greatest trade of all time? Because you have Matt Stafford won a Super Bowl. You get what I'm saying? And if Jared Goff and because if you break down this trade, you're looking at one of the rare trades that benefited both teams. It's not a lot of trades that actually benefited both teams and where both teams had success. A lot of times when you have trades, a team pretty much, I want to dump this guy off. I want to get rid of this price tag or whatnot, this expensive price tag, or we just don't
Right.
want them. It's chaos in the locker room. You talking about a trade that benefited both teams. You get what I'm saying? So, we see what the fans say about that. See what our listeners got to say about that one.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, man, for the listeners to tap into the question. What we put out there. Do you think Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford is one of the greatest trades, right now of all time in totality? And we just looking at what they're doing currently. Let's not look at the past. Just
Right.
currently, right now, as
Because
it sit.
you have people that would look at the trade with Dallas, right? But when you break down this trade, when Jimmy Johnson traded Herschel Walker, the trade only benefited the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Now I would say the trade when you look at when Clinton Porter's when they traded Clinton Porter's and Champ Bailey, that was a good trade. You
Oh,
know,
you talking about with the Redskins, right?
with the Redskins and the Broncos. That was a great trade. But that trade would be moved down, it would probably maybe what number two behind that, you know.
Right, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that because, like, yeah, when you look at that trade, yeah, I wouldn't say they both was playoff teams, but if you look at that trade, I would probably say uh, Denver might have won that trade a little more than the Redskins. But again, like you said, though, man, this trade, when you really look at this trade, bro, everybody's benefit from everybody's eating off this trade right now. Ain't
Right.
nobody can say like, man, like they got us. And so I agree with you, bro. Like this trade is probably one of the best trades that we've seen of all time, man. But you watching, listening, man, you listen to the question, man. Tap into the podcast, tap into the show, man. If you don't want to come on, people come in and give us your thoughts on that trade, man.
Right.
But yeah, man. I mean, the Lions look good, man. I thought in the Sunday night game, I mean, missed opportunities. Ron St. Brown dropped some critical catches in critical moments. Um, what you think about that end of that fight? How that fight ended with Brian Branch? Me personally, bro, I don't feel like Brian Branch should get suspended. I think he should get a heavy fine. Juju be doing shit, man. And I'm not saying that he didn't do nothing wrong, but he be doing little shit. And I think he played with the wrong person and found out all that playing shit.
Yeah. You got to be able to control your composure, man. No matter, you're a professional. If a person, no matter what a person, if a person don't put their hands on you, you have to be a professional about it. That's what they pay you for. That's what you get paid millions of dollars for, to be professional. And that's with anything. You get what I'm saying? They will ask you to do that on a job where you only getting paid $10 an hour. So
Right.
it holds much more if you getting paid millions. So yes, he was out of bounds for doing that. At a lot of jobs you would get fired for that. Not that we're not hoping that he get fired, of course, but it go back to the professional standpoint. You know, um, I wouldn't want to see nobody get suspended, but we know that when you fight, you get suspended. When you get a helmet, you get suspended.
Right.
You throw the blow. Although the blow wasn't as effective because the dude got his helmet on or whatnot, but it's like if action if consequences if the NFL is not issuing out consequences, you're gonna have a lot of fights in the National Football League, bro. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
We constantly got fights and whatnot. And the league don't want that. It'd be setting a bad example. I don't wish it for the brother, but at the same time, man, we know rules is rules, man. You got to be able to follow rules. Like, come on, man. You know, Somebody putting their hand on you, a cheap shot, I can understand it. But just words, you got to let that go. And it could be more that went on that I don't know about. But from my standpoint, from what I saw, I didn't think that it warrant you going after them trying to fight it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I will agree with that. I don't think it warrant like you said. I don't think he should have provoked him. Now,
Right.
I think Juju did. I don't know what was said. I think Juju might have provoked him, and he back after the loss. But it seemed like he was looking for the smoke. He got it, Brian. Right? He went over and found his ass and slapped the shit out of him. but I think that's where he probably was wrong at. But I just don't want to see the brother get suspended because in the heat of emotions, you lost the game. It's a game you felt like you could have won, and then you lose the way you lost.
Right.
It's like, damn, man, like, and then you got this guy talking shit. It's just, what I'm saying? I think, like you said, bro, he gotta be better at that. I just don't want to see the brother get suspended, man. Maybe they help him fine, teach him a lesson. It was after the game, it wasn't during the course of the game. So, maybe they look at it consideration. But, man, just unfortunate situation, man. But hopefully Juju is better, man, because, man, he busted his shit, man. Nose bleeding and shit and all that.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
man. So, but the last game of the night we're gonna talk about, man, is this Dallas game, man. I mean, yeah, man, it's just one of those things where Dallas that defense, man. I don't think if they get this defense fixed, man, it's gonna be a long season for the Cowboys. And it's just, and for me, Dak is wasting like I hate to say it, that this is the best we've seen Dak play at quarterback. And it's like he's wasted with bad defense. And I gotta blame Jerry Jones because, they don't have nobody game plan for the defense. Mike Parsons used that the game plan for the pass rush, where he's going to be. You got to account for him. Now you don't have to account for this guy no more. So it's like your defense went from having an elite pass rush and somebody you account for the least for them to have to game plan around where they can just offense do what the fuck they want to do. They running the ball. At one point they was playing good run defense, but now that people they killing you in the passing game. It's just, man, I don't know what you do with this defense, bro. Like, do you make a trade or do you do something to try to solidify your defense? But you're wasting away that MVP season right now, man, with this defense.
It's pretty much not much you can do, man. You get what I'm saying? It's like it's
You
not
gonna give it
nobody you're
up on
gonna
like that,
trade
bro?
for to make this defense better. You get what I'm saying? It's like you trade away your best player on defense. So the defense pretty much set in stone. It is what it is for this season. You know what I'm saying? And this is my thing, right? And I hate to say it, but I see this happening. And you mentioned it. Dak Prescott, a lot of his years is being wasted away. Dak Prescott now is very lucrative for Dak Prescott being at the Cowboys, even when he was a rookie, and he didn't have a big contract. Just being under that Cowboys brand, you know, a lot of endorsements come with that. But at the same time, when you look at champ in terms of winning, I think that if Dak wanted, you know what I'm saying, we're not going to see Dak win a Super Bowl until Dak go with another team. He's gonna go through the same
Oh,
thing
boy, don't say that,
that
Cowboys, man.
he's
You gonna
gonna
hurt
go
them,
through.
boy. Well, they about
He's
to
gonna
cry
go
if you say
through.
that.
Listen, he's gonna go through the same thing Matt Stafford went through. You get what I'm saying? Now Stafford's situation was worse, but at the same time, man, you're gonna keep going through the same thing with Jerry Jones or whatnot, mismanaging his team. And it's like, because you bring in talent, but you let go talent. You bring in, but you let go. You get what I'm saying? So it's going to be like this here, man. It's going to go. It's going to be a situation. And what's going to happen is that is going to leave. They're going to part ways, and that is going to go to the team that's the most beneficial for him. That's what I'm saying. That's going to benefit him the most. And we're gonna witness that win the Super Bowl. A lot of people think it's Dak. Dak is to blame and everything. No, he's going through the same thing that Tony Romo went through. You get what I'm saying? He's going through the same thing that Troy Aikman went through after Jimmy Johnson. You get what I'm saying? Although they did win with Barry Switzer. But we seen what that team was like, and the triplets
That
was
was Jimmy
still there.
Johnson team.
You still had you still had Darren Woods. You get what I'm saying? You still had Deion Sanders. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna suffer the fate that all these other quarterbacks went through. You get what I'm saying? In order for him to win, he's gonna have to pull a Matt Stafford.
Damn, dog. Make a good point, bro, man. I don't want to see it, bro, because that, Dallas fans, boy, they gonna be crying, boy, if that win a Super Bowl before they get one. But you make a good point,
Yeah.
cuz, man. I don't know, man. I mean, you don't think it's no trade out there to get the defense better? I mean, they got to do something, dog.
Everything, dog.
Look at this
Listen,
Panthers, dog. Panthers been
they
playing bad on offense, and damn, they come Dallas show up, dog. They got the offense clicking like goddamn. What has been
if
there
you
all year
remember,
with the
if
Carolina
you
Panthers?
remember last year, the play when people were saying Dallas need to go after a running back. Remember the play I kept talking
Right.
about? I kept saying Rico Dow last season. Now look what
Yup.
happened. You get what I'm
Yup.
saying? He destroys you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I say, man, Dallas got a good running
I
back in the
remember that.
backfield. The only difference was, I mean, that got hurt last season. You know, but I say, man, you
Right.
got a banged up offensive line last season, and you still had a running back that had 1,000 yards. But because his name wasn't flashy enough, a lot of people say, oh, Dallas need to go after a running back. You had a running back in your backfield already. You get what I'm saying? I brought this
Yup.
up. You know what I'm saying? Now look what
In
happened.
fact,
It
you
came
did say
back to
that.
bite you. Yeah, it came back to bite you in the behind and whatnot. But that come with mismanaging the roster.
Okay, man, you hit that one on the head, bro. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, yeah, you did say that, dog. Like, it came back to bite him, dog, in the worst way,
Yeah.
dog. It really did, bro. But I ain't gonna even lie, though, bro. What's your thoughts? Because I think Javonte Williams is having a bounce back year for the Dallas Cowboys. I thought
He's he's
maybe he's
playing
been playing pretty
he's
solid.
playing he's playing good. He is though. He is playing good though. You know what I'm saying? He is.
Yeah, but you make a point though, dog. They wouldn't even have to make that move. They would have kept if they would have kept what they had.
Right. It's like they looked at like they had to like I say, man, sometimes man teams go after a name, man. You know what I'm saying? And and this is why Ashton Jensen name was always tied in with the Cowboys. Because people feel like, oh, they need a running back. Like, no, you got a running back already. You don't have to go after a running back. And I feel like they did the
Right,
best thing by going after old linemen, in the
right,
draft with their first round pick.
right. And you're right about that, man. I'm sitting here thinking about when you say teams chase names, bro. I felt like that's why the Jets fucked up. They went after a name in Aaron Rodgers, and he's pretty much just set the organization back. Now you see what they look like as, but they they
I
didn't
wouldn't
have to
say
still get him though.
I wouldn't even say that move set the organization back. He got injured the first year. Because we seeing how Aaron Rodgers playing now. You know, so you have to look at it from a coaching standpoint as well. You know, like the coaching staff that they had, Robert Solomon just ain't get it done.
Mm.
You know, he just ain't get it done.
Yeah, hey, it's what it is, man. That's what's
And
up
this
though, man.
and this was a talented team, so I wouldn't say that pushed them back. It just, you know, they're not getting it done, man. And now they really don't have a quarterback now because
I know.
Fields, he's not looking like the answer right now. And it could be the system, but he's not. He's looking
Yeah,
like how he
they
looked
ain't
this
looking good
first
for
season.
Justin Fields, man.
Right.
It really ain't. I agree with that though, but that's good. That's good. Interesting take on that, man. So yeah, end of the show tonight, man. We're gonna go in our rivals and departures, man. I want to start with my rivals, man. And my rivals for this week, man. Cam Scottaboo and Jackson Dart, man. I like them two cats, rookies, man. Coming in, got the win over the Eagles on Thursday. On Thursday night, I mean, total domination. Man, Cam Scottaboo had the boys out like Eagles making big decisions as a rookie. I'm talking about he was running like Tom Raffin back in the day. While he was running
Yeah.
Thursday night, bro. Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, dog. I think New York might have found their quarterback. I think this might be the guy. It's still early,
Oh yeah,
but
he looking
that's my
good.
rivals for this week, dog.
He looking
Cam,
good.
Jackson Dart and
Jackson
Cam
Dart.
Scottaboo.
Oh,
Jackson Dart.
my my rivals, man. I gotta give it to the Carolina Panthers, man. They won. I want to say they won their last two games. They're looking better. They're looking more like an offense now. Um, and I think now Bryce Young got a reliable target. He got a weapon now, man. With McMillan, and he got a running back. We just got finished talking about Rico Dow or whatnot. So it's
Yep.
like you're looking at your three core pieces, that could be your three core pieces on this team when you look at the offense. So they've been looking good the last 2 weeks. You get what I'm saying? They looking more like an NFL team now. So they got my rival for this week.
He said looking more like an NFL team. I
Looking
like
more
that
like
one,
an
man.
NFL team.
That's what's up, man. So my departures for this week, man, is the Philadelphia Eagles wide receivers, man. AJ Brown, freaking Devontae Smith. Um, these guys, man, I don't know, man. It's like the offense out of sync. AJ Brown acting like a diva. I don't know if this guy gonna end. He's gonna get traded. Devontae Smith. Um, you know, can't get him going in the offense. So the Eagles got a lot of work to do offensively, man, and they got a lot of talent on the offense. So I don't know why they just haven't been so inconsistent early on. But I just think that the Eagles right now, as far as offensively, they got to figure something out. Like get an identity. They're gonna be a run first team. So, but they got to figure that part out, man, because it seems like um, you can put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hand and win you the game. Not saying he's making bad decisions, but it seems like over these last 2 weeks, when Dave said, "Okay, we're gonna take away the run game from the Eagles, and we're gonna let Jalen Hurts do this," he hasn't been able to do it. He put up numbers against the Broncos, but still wasn't enough. They got away from the run game. So I don't know, man. But that was my departure this week. Philadelphia Eagles offense.
My departure is I was going with Jalen Hurts. And the reason why I
Okay.
was going to say Jalen Hurts, right, because now, a lot of people saying what Cam Newton was saying. You know, when he was having debates with Gilly, um, who else he was debating with? He was debating with a couple of people about this, though. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
About
uh,
with Jalen Hurts.
super apology guy Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark, yeah. So, and the thing he was bringing up is like, yeah, you can look at how he played in the Super Bowl. He looked good or whatnot. But at the same time, it's like they're not winning because of just solely on Jalen Hurts or whatnot. And now it's showing because you see a lot of these throws, they're off target. And this is a talented team from top to bottom. Team, talented team. You get what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts has been missing a lot of throws this year. Although the numbers are looking good, looking decent when you look at his touchdown to interception ratio, but at the same time, it's like, it's a lot being left out there on the table, though. You get what I'm saying?
Big facts, man. I agree with that, man. And any final thoughts, Greg?
Nah,
Man, so it's been a dope episode this week, man. I will have this uploaded on the all streaming platforms, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, podcast, man. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, man. It's your boy Joe.
it's your boy Greg.
We out. Peace.
Yo.